What's up? What's up? Welcome, everyone. Srijan, let me know if there's better pronunciation for that on YouTube. Christian, what's going on? Clay, how's it going on Twitch? And Abimanyu on YouTube. What's going on, everyone? Also have live on Twitch, which has been really interesting. The numbers on Twitch live streams seem very high, but then like very little engagement, which is probably just like a different use case for people. But Roll, Clouden, Zayed, what's going on, everyone? If you haven't been in one of these before, one of the things I love to do is get to know things about people that are joining, Clouden. So you're in Haiti. Anyway, so I'd love to know a few different things from people that are here. What is your favorite tech stack? How long have you been a developer? And a fun fact about yourself. And fun facts about people are actually like legitimately fun because they kind of go all over the place. Clay just trying to make it through the day. I understand. My wife and I had a like long conversation today about different things. A big part of it is just being overwhelmed with time. Like we never, especially, so we have a 10-month-old baby and we never feel like we have enough time for anything, honestly. Like just trying to get work done is hard. That's been a big struggle for us. Gerald asked, which library are we using for forms? Sentinel said, so okay, so this is in Next.js. I'm not using like React Hook form or anything. And I'm curious what the refactor would be to incorporate that. I like slightly looked at that and it just didn't fully click of like, would that be easy to just go ahead and do? So I haven't decided yet, but anyway, so Next.js and just doing form stuff ourselves, trying to take advantage as much as we can of like built-in HTML form validation and other things. Coco from Togo, welcome. Claudius says React Hook form. Yeah, that several people mentioned that the other day too. Zion says starting with web development, currently learning JavaScript. That's exciting. How long have you been doing that? And then I'm always curious for people in similar situations, like is your goal to get a job as a developer ASAP, like as soon as you can? Anyway, that's something I'm like passionate about, is helping people get jobs. So Claudin says Zod for validation, Kieran, Zod and React Hook form will be better. Yeah, Zod I'm a huge fan of. I don't actually have it as part of this one. So we'll see, and maybe I do a refactor to do some of that stuff, but I need to get the first part working at least, which I have most of the way there. But multi-step forms are actually like very challenging, surprisingly challenging, like much more so than you think. Chris on Twitter, what's going on? Sador sending my blessings and love from London. What's going on? Thank you. When are you coming here, by the way? So I don't have, it's funny. My wife is going to London next week and I would love to go with her, but I don't think I will be. Maybe I'll just book myself a flight to London. Is that ridiculous? But she'll be super busy with all of her team stuff going on. So anyway, I may be in Europe at near the end of like middle and end of July for a couple of different things, which I'm excited about. I don't know that I'll make it to London, unfortunately. So I don't know. Zayed said, started in January, got a bit inconsistent because of exams. Currently my second year of engineering. Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. Christian's sister is in London. Nice. I'm jealous. My wife just went like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something recent, and then she's going again, and I'm jealous. I wish I could go. But I'll be home with the baby. Oh, Kieran, you did one with Zod and Reactive Forms. If you have a reference to that, feel free to share in there. Raj, what are we cooking? Well, we're going to work on this multi-step form. So I have a few things figured out. So right now I've decided to make these multiple pages or multiple routes. And there's a bunch of different reasons that went into this. The big thing that I wanted to be able to do, so at first I had this kind of all working in memory with just one route, and then we just kind of swap out content. That worked pretty well, but I wanted the user to be able to hit the back button. So if they go to step 2 to step 1, I wanted them to hit the back button. So I did all different routes. And anyway, so like you can see the first one is step 1, and then there would be step 2, etc. And right now we have like built-in validation, so you can't go to step 2 if this stuff isn't figured out. And these are just text strings for location and date and time, so we're not doing anything like fancy there. Let me turn this music down a little bit. It feels like a little bit loud for me. Where's it coming from? Right here. I don't know if it's loud for y'all. It's like a little bit distracting for me. Yeah. Manu learned a lot from your channel. That's awesome. So glad to hear that. First time attending a live stream. Awesome. Very cool. Thanks for joining. I've been doing a lot more of these, and I think it's a fun way to just interact and get people and kind of talk about different things, and then also like get feedback and stuff on the stuff I'm doing. I want to turn this more into also the way Theo and Prime do some of their stuff, where they record intentionally videos, because if I spend time on stream, I might as well use that for YouTube videos and make it informative too. So that's something I want to do more of. Cyril, thank you. Love your content. I appreciate that. Those sort of comments make me very happy, so I really appreciate that. Kinu from Seoul, very cool. We got people all over the world. I love that. Halla Murdoch, I'm a recruiter for a big tech company. I was told there was a 9-month-old dev on this channel. 10 months now, which is hard to believe. She'll be ready for her first developer job pretty soon, I would imagine. So keep her on your radar. Would you recommend Arc over Chrome or Brave? I haven't used Brave. I like Arc a lot. It's funny. It's like very small things that make a huge difference for me. One thing is tabbing between tabs. The shortcuts work the way that you expect as a developer, where it goes to the most recent tabs in order, not just like from left to right, which is a small thing, but actually like a big one for me. So there's small things, but yeah, I like Arc. Oh, it's still closed beta on Windows. Okay, Devin, sorry, I didn't know that. Dennis, what's going on? How you doing, Dennis? How's I sent you, we talked about this not too long ago. How's work? How's App-Right going? Seems like pretty good stuff. Clay, what are you asking about sharing? Not sure. So on Cyril, multi-step form, Next.js 14, it'd be great to compare. Yeah, that's awesome. There's a million different approaches you could take to this. So I said this a second ago. I'm doing multiple routes. So I have a route for each step. So step 1. And then if I continue, okay, that took a little while. It goes to step 2, and I don't know, do I have this working? Oh, I need that. Need that to be. Probably don't want to let them. Let's see. If I tried to continue here, we get that, and that should be required as well. Okay, so I guess I could let them add an item before they filled out the previous one. That seems fine. So Clay is asking about the tabbing. So in Chrome, Chrome, your tabs are not top to bottom, they're left to right. So if you tab through on Mac with Control Tab, you're just going from where you are and you're going either right or left down the tabs. So if you have 50 tabs open, which I never do, by the way, that means if you want to go to like 10 back, you have to like go all the way forward through them all, or go backwards, which is okay too. For me, and in VS Code, when you do Control Tab, it actually shows you the ones that you've been to more recently. So this order here is not the same as this order over here, because this order that I actually tab through is based on when I've used them, if that makes sense. So this is how it works in VS Code. It's how it works in other things. And it's more just like it feels more developer-y, I think. Hopefully that helps answer your question. Emlenite, what's going on? Yeah, the DFDS FAD is delicious. It's amazing. Dennis, glad to hear things are going well at App-Right. It seems like y'all are having a ton of fun and a lot of success, which is cool. Wish Arc had a way to disable auto archiving of tabs. Changing to 30 days better than default, but I don't know if I've had any archive. My biggest problem is if I have it like in the tab switcher, it only shows you 5 tabs. That annoys me. I don't know why it won't show me all of my tabs or more. The fact that it only shows 5 is actually pretty limiting, and that actually bothers me, and I don't know a way to fix that. So, okay, so I don't even know. Do I have this third step? Continue. Okay, so that did work, and then the guess thing I still have to figure out, and then go back. This information is wiped, so that's something that I have to figure out, and then I go back here. That information is staying. Ammonite, you're the second person that said, "What's cooking today?" I assume this is a reference to Potluck Pal, which is what we're working on, and that actually makes sense. And I didn't catch that the first time. So working on this multi-step form. So right now, oh, there's a lot of things. I feel like this is like way complicated. But inside of context, we have a new event context, and we basically have an item in here for event data that we track for all the data on the different pages. So we have this in one high level layout. So we actually use our layout in the dash or in the new event. All right. Yeah. In the new event, we wrap this with our event form context provider. This allows us to keep this state in memory as we go through different tabs. So see, that's actually pretty cool, I think. Why is the Oh, I always get when it shows the scroll bar or not, it always like throws off the styling. So that I think is pretty cool. So we keep that in a high level state that is in a React context that wraps our entire layout. So each one of these routes under slash create event has or new event has access to that. I think that works pretty well. These are also different pages. So you can see inside of, let me switch to streaming. Oh, already, all right, cool. We look inside of, where am I? Dashboard and new event. So you see we have different routes for each one of these, and they have their own form. And so they have their own details in the form. And then at the end of this, we have a handle submit, which updates the details that are tracked inside of the context and then pushes to the next state. There may be a reason for me to update this like even before that, probably so. So we'll see. But definitely as I go to the next step, I want to update that information in my global state or semi-global state. Yes, the progress, current event form progress. This is a separate component that is used for the progress. So what we do is have two parameters, the current step we're on and the total number of steps, and it generates based on how many steps we have. It iterates through and creates each one of those, and then it only adds the divider somewhere. It only adds the divider, or it doesn't add the divider for the last one to go down. If that makes sense. So it's dynamic based on how many steps you have and where you are. Yeah, actually, what's the difference between versus target React? I actually don't know the difference. Target is the element that triggered the event, the element that an event listener is attached to. Trigger the event. So those would be the same in this case. I would imagine they could work either way though. And I actually got this code from ChatGPT, or from, sorry, not ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot. So in this case, the one that triggered the event and the one that's actually, I never knew that. And the one that is attached to the event listener. So they're the same thing. So it shouldn't matter in this case, unless you have another reason that it does matter. I don't know. So one thing I'm wondering about is, let's look at step 2 page, or the event items form. Inside of here, okay. Also, you're asking, this is a great question too, asking about why convert to any, and that is because I don't have, it doesn't know that property exists on that form. So I don't think there's any way to have like TypeScript types on target for it to know that it has a name property, like in the form. I don't think. There's also the potential that we could convert, like, to actually get the form data. Try current target. Okay. Current target. Away. Wait, how would it know that? Says retrieves the name, form element, value. That's a difference. So name would have an issue. Maybe it's just that one then. Let me try another one. E.target dot. Yeah, there wouldn't be IntelliSense. Oh, current target, sorry. Current target. How does it know that? Wait, where does that come from? That's interesting. Please explain that to me. Does it just know that current target just any in general? Wow. Okay, interesting. And then the unfortunate thing, really interesting. Fortunate thing here, and since I named this thing name, that's something that's going to be a problem. So I could update that. Event details. Oh, this is one problem I had. Yeah. Yeah, these are a couple of new things I didn't know in here. E.current target. Does that work on that? I don't know. E.current target dot value. Why does it not like? Oh, because it's looking for. Yeah, I didn't know how to do this part. So that's a separate thing that I have to figure out. So I want to be able to update the state based on these properties. And I don't have a hook in there to do that. So inside of my context, I have an update event details, which takes in devoid dude. Yes, I'm using TypeScript. So this takes in an event details thing, which expects all the properties. Can I tell it to have a TypeScript type that has some of those properties? TypeScript type for some properties? That would be cool. I bet this is partial. Okay, let's look up TypeScript partial. Partial type, same Thor saying, and Christian said, nice. Okay, so can I just say that's cool? I get it now. Ooh, I like. So is missing the following for event details. So update event details is what I'm calling. And I say this is a partial of event details. Almost like 3 of the 5 of a property. Yeah, however many. In this case, it's just one. Devoid do, why use TypeScript over JS? I love typing. I love IntelliSense. I love all those things. Matthias, welcome, by the way. ¿Cómo estás, mi amigo? Sorry if you already explained. Are you using specific form library for this project? So no, I'm not. I'm not using React Hook Form, which lots of people have asked about and suggested. So there's a chance I update to that, but I'm not right now. I swear this problem, of doing multi-step forms is like way more difficult than you would expect. Oh, cool. I just saw a comment, Matthias, from you on Twitter as well. I don't know if it's a few minutes. Okay, cool. It's cool to see comments coming in from Twitter because I know there's a bunch of people. Yeah, just saw the post. A bunch of people watching on Twitter. Supposedly the numbers look really high, but don't really see much engagement. So raw dogging forums for pain and profit. James, I'd love to see a project with a separate server and handling auth with any third-party libraries. Separate, so Next.js with a separate server? Is that what you mean? With omit, you can define what to exclude. ¿Hablas en español? Sí. Yo puedo hablar en español un poco. Mi amigo Matías es de Argentina y de otro amigo de Argentina es como yo aprendía durante varios años con él y su familia. Yeah. Anyway, I get excited to speak in Spanish. Así español con la S aspirada. Río Plat. That's a hard one. Río Platense merece ser un clip. Español. Is that specifically in Argentina? Because that's, or like, I didn't know that was part of the accent too. The skipped or abbreviated S. I didn't know that. That's just like, yeah, that's just how I said it. Saludos desde Chile. Mucho gusto y muchas gracias. Mi amigo de que hablé un poco de Argentina, su madre es de Argentina, pero su padre es de Chile. It's because you're pronouncing the middle S in Espanol the way we do in Argentina, aspired S sound. I love it. Yeah. I also tengo las otras características del acento rioplatense. ¿Cómo se dice? Como yo. Y a veces uso la forma de voz también. The River Plate area, yeah. Yep. This is the stuff that gets me. Languages gets me almost more excited than code does. Anyway, surely we had. How do you feel about AI doing stuff like this in seconds? If AI can do it for me successfully, that's great. I love it. So Devin Sarah, in your 3 circles component, I saw you were using a radar from. Haven't tried it, but can't you just use? I actually don't know. I just looked up. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't look up. So I say because I think I was thinking in Spanish some and how to respond instead of. Yeah, Devin Sarah, I just found a way that worked. I don't know. It's like listening to Dustin Luke. I don't know if you. Oh, is he the one? Is he the one on Instagram that like goes up to Spanish speaking like women and he talks to them in like his English accent and then pretends like he doesn't speak Spanish and then dives in with like a full Argentinian accent? I'm so jealous of him. Yeah, he's awesome. I'm so jealous. Also, Razor, I love the mix of English and Spanish. The sorry por desviar el tema principal. It's all good. That is often one of my main principal temas anyway. JB, you do speak Spanish? I think. This is a safe clip, I promise. Oh, thanks for clarifying that, because I always am like slightly skeptical of people that post. I don't know if y'all could hear that or not. That's funny. Puerto Rican, cool. Entonces, JB, podemos hablar en español la próxima vez que te veo. Sí. Mi esposa está aquí. No, I'm gonna stay here. Mm-hmm. You want to say hi to everybody? Pregúntame en español. ¿Cuál es tu pregunta? Oh. Si yo voy contigo. ¿Cómo se dice pick up our daughter? Recoger nuestra hija. Yeah, I'm gonna stay here. That's okay. Do you want to say hi to everyone or no? Not feeling very okay. Ir a buscar. Gracias. It doesn't matter. You can leave it open. Love you. Hola, esposa de Santiago. Recoger, ir a buscar. Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing that I want in an app that I want. Recoger is more not Argentinian. So here's the thing that I would want for languages. Oh, Devin Sarah, that's cute. Love you too. Coder nerd. Fair enough. Yeah, that's why I hate live streams. Please get to the point. The title. Yeah, I actually, yeah, I think Coder nerd, you're probably going to be disappointed if you're like looking to immediately get to it, because there's too many comments that I can't ignore. So if you want to dip out, I understand. JB says, I find it funny that James is Santiago in Spanish. Is it not? Jaime? To be insulting, my friend's family or his father would call me La Jaima instead of Jaime in Spanish. Oh, so what I was gonna say, I want an app that doesn't just translate something, it tells me 5 different ways to say the same thing in a different language and maybe by region. That would be so helpful because if I ask Alexa, it tells me one thing, like, "Here's how you say this." And I'm like, "That's cool," but I also like, 1, it's probably not the most common way that people would say it, like, if you actually listen to people talk on the street, and also, what are a bunch of different ways that you could say it? Yeah, I've thought about, I might still do that because if you ask ChatGPT to like, I asked ChatGPT, "Tell me 3 ways to say this sentence formally, informally, and casually," and it actually did a pretty good job. Like a regional dictionary expression list, absolutely. Yep. Alright, there was a comment. Okay, Ivan, thank you for asking something that's, like, on topic. Ivan said or commenting, "The way I did multi-step form is using state for the steps and show different parts of the form using conditional rendering. I use formic and yup for the state of the form." Yeah. Well, so here's one thing that's interesting, and this will get back to, what we're trying to do. Actually, did we get rid of that type error? Alright, let's do that first. So this partial, we're saying event details is a partial of event details. Is this not is that not enough? Because we're calling this function with one of those properties. Description. So event details should be up here. Event details, which has description. All right, back to business. But it doesn't like is not assignable to event details, is missing the following. How do you use a partial then? Wait, promise. Partial type. Constructs a type with all properties of type. Yeah, which type. Huh. Why did that not work then? Sorry, I'm actually super interested in how you handle multi-step form. I am too, but I'm also very interested in languages. I help build one for sayings. Content-wise, I contracted for an app developer as a translator. Nice. Oh yeah, Chris. Sorry, I actually meant to send you a message. Sorry, Chris. I specifically meant to tell you I was doing this. So I'm glad you're here. If you also want to join me like you did before, you're welcome to. Towie says, new in Next.js, saw a couple tutorials. What is best practice? Should I build API inside Next or use server components? More, so you may have a need for both. More recently, you'll see more people doing server components. So I would invest in learning server components because I think that's becoming a more and more common thing. But why does this not work? Ricardo, what's going on? So if I mark update event details, this is the function I'm calling. And this says partial, which makes each property optional. I wonder if it's just like reach out from next meeting if you're still streaming. Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, anyway, that still works. So I'm not sure like why it's having an issue with it. E is type of any, I think. This E, it actually knows that's a change event handler. Or sorry, the change event. It's saying I don't have the other property. It's saying I'm missing name, date and time, and location. So somehow it's not registering. Update event details. Update event details. This comes from this one. Haha. That's cool. So this is actually my first time using partials in a way that actually makes sense. This is great. Got it. Cool. So I'm thinking though, the problem that I'm seeing is on the homepage or on the first page, it saves this information because I can go back and do that. Well, shit. After I said that, then it broke. Is that true? Let me try this again. All right, we got information. We go forward. We go back. Oh, event name is missing because I changed something. Event. Wait, no. Wait, why is rats? See, this wasn't even like the thing I was working on. Oh, I wonder if it's that. Name to full. Full name. Event data. This one I didn't change. Yeah. That's what it is. All right, that. Okay. So let's try this again. Yeah. Great catch. So details. Here, go back, have all the details, go forward. If I fill in one of these and try to continue and then come back, it doesn't have that information stored. I think it's because if we go to step 2, which is the event items form, this, what do we call in here? We call add item. Oh, but we're not actually updating anything in here. How would you handle, so if the root context thing has, let's go back and look at the context. So the root context has event data. So these details, event data has the event details, plus it has an array of items and attendees. How would you handle updating? I guess we need to have a function for update item, and we can reference it by its ID. So we can have the ID string, value string. Thanks a ton. Event details, items, update event details, update event details, event data. So somewhere, iterate through items array and update appropriate item. Okay, well, that didn't. And then it feels like maybe a lot of things to do. So we reference each item. You could say you're just practicing. Love it. Christian said it disadvantage of partial is that you don't know what you're really getting. If this is important, use omit instead of partial. So I think in this case, this is totally what I want, because omit, you have to specify what you're omitting. In this case, I don't know. It's just going to be one of those. I just know I only want to be able to update properties that are real properties. I just don't know how many. So, Crutch, what's going on? Someone say forms. Yeah, I bet you have plenty of feedback on how I'm doing this, which I would love to get feedback on. The thing I am struggling with right now is the difference between, is basically how to update items in a nested array on a parent state with context. If that makes sense. Updated items. So I think what I want to do is now set event data, previous data, and then I think that's right. Set event data cannot find name. Is that because this function needs to go inside of here? Okay, let's see. So we have update event details, which takes in some parcel and updates them. Then we have update item, and we want to do this probably on change for each item. So we take our existing data, we grab the items, we map through them. We then see if the item ID matches this ID. We then update, we return. I don't know if that's right. Oh, Crutch is here. I can lurk and take notes now. Yes, Crutch. Feel free to jump in with any thoughts you have. I think this might not be right. If the item ID equals the ID, what is item? Does it have a value property? Yes, it does. Okay, so I think that actually is right. So we take the existing details of the item, then we update the value to be this. And then set the event data to the previous date item or date stuff, and then update the event items. Crutch, these look like general array utils. Why not break into general util functions? What sort of util functions are you thinking about? Like what would be an example of those? Okay, so what I want is update item to be something we also expose. That. And then we also need to add that in our value down here. And then event items form, event items form. We want to say update item. And inside of here, we want to go to our input and get an on change and call. So we have our call update item like this, I think. Crutch already doing this. Let me know what specifically you were. If I'm doing it and that was your suggestion, that's great. But what specifically were you talking about? Okay, so in theory now, let's go to step one and let's just start this over. So we'll get this, continue, casserole one, add item, this, two of those, continue, then come back. Yeah, that sucks. Like you're doing update item. Okay, cool. Okay, so that didn't. Make sure I just don't have any errors in here. Add item. So we added item. And let's just create handle on change. And then let's call. Are each of these steps dedicated Next.js pages? Yes, they are. And the reason I did that, I didn't have that originally, but I wanted the user to be able to press back, like the shortcut in the browser or the browser back. So by having them be separate pages, we can have them use their keyboard shortcuts to go back if they want to. If you have thoughts on that, I would love to hear it because I feel like there's a million different ways to do a multi-step form. Handle on change. I think I need to do this. Yeah, that's how I do it. Cool. Nice. I feel so validated. And then I'm just defining a new function here so that I can use string ID string just to log it out. And then we'll call update item that way. This will be value. What about Nux package and use query params of the URL as state? I don't know about the Nux package. NUKS is, I don't know what that is. But using query params of the URL as state. You can. I think part of the problem is if you use query params to keep track of your state, if you go from one page to another, you have to like, I feel like that gets really gross in the URL. Like you pass in the data, then in step 2, you have to read it because you have to know where to go back to. Then in part 3, you have to go forward and pass that data. And how do you get the data from part 1? It doesn't quite click with me. Crutch, we're planning a stepper API for TanStack form, but it'll be wonky to glue into your forward backward APIs. Xanthor also said you could hijack the back command. Some people don't like that. Yeah, I wanted to avoid overriding shortcuts that are built into the browser. Another question, Gash Schneider. How about making each step a different component all rendered inside the same page? So that's what I had originally, and it was just swapping it out. The big reason why I went against that is I wanted them to be able to hit the back button. I wanted them to be able to navigate back using their shortcuts because I found myself in testing this, trying that, and then being disappointed that I couldn't. So I felt like that was a poor user experience for what I thought. Crutch, how are you persisting values? I usually suggest session storage. So this is something we talked about too. I think what I'm going to do, so right now it's persisted unless you do a page refresh. All the stuff is persisted front, forward and backward in memory, or at least that's the goal. And then I think also what I'm going to do is just write that to local storage until you get to the final step until you actually submit. So when the final submit would wipe out local storage. So when you go to one of these pages, it's going to load in the data from local storage. And that will persist. Now, the one thing, and you mentioned session storage, the one thing you could do is actually attach this data in a database to a session or to a user ID, because people were talking about like tracking this across different devices. I don't think that, and this is all just a demo app, by the way, but that seems like a very tiny use case of someone starts a form on a phone and finishes on their desktop, for example. That doesn't seem like something I'd need to cover. So I think just in local storage works. Yeah. So that's where I am. Again, a million different ways that this can work. All right, let's see. Am I triggering this? That is triggering. This is triggering. Quantity. Oh, that's not. Oh, that's a good point too, is I'm not tracking the quantity. New event context. An event. Do I have, or an item? ID value. Oh, this is interesting. Saving to database doesn't seem like a bad idea, but I would only do it for real prod app. Sorry, Tarva. What's up? So I think I missed your comment earlier. How's it going? So I just realized I'm not actually tracking the quantity of these. So that is interesting. One. So an item up here. Quantity number. Should probably split that out into its own type too. Local and session storage are both local. Difference is local storage persists while session storage is wiped when the browser is closed, unless I think if the browser is set to resume. Yeah, I'm actually not like I don't know the difference in those, so that's good. Ivan, I had the whole state for the form inside a component, just conditionally rendered each step of the form. Yeah, that's without routes. Absolutely. That's what I was doing at first. Again, I have separate paths so that we can have the back button engaged from a path perspective. Atarva, gonna cook some popcorn. Seems like an interesting topic to watch. Might use it in Next.js next project. Nice, love it. Just stating so you make a conscious decision if you do session versus local. Devin, Sarah, that's great. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, awesome. So I need to have quantity in here, which that is good to know. And then what kind of error do I have below? Previous items, and then so add item quantity of 1. No, that doesn't work. Heavy string quantity number to parent. Oh, geez, what did I do? Of items, previous to items, and then add in a new one. Oh no, why is this not? Keyboard Cowboy, what's going on? I'm good. I am like overwhelmed at building a multi-step form. Like it's like oddly complicated. The type for set event data is wrong. Set event data uses event data. Which is event data is the merging of event details with these two. Just make it a mega form and hide the parts that aren't doing yet. Yeah. That is still even trickier than you think, especially when you get into the real hard part for me is the nested. You can add as many of these items as you want. That's actually really tricky on its own, I think. Yeah, Crutch, I think that type is right. I don't know what I changed because all I did was this, right? Just the quantity. Let's just go back to this for a second. That works. Now, if I add in quantity number, yum. Comment ça va, mon ami? I get to change to a little bit of French. So this would be number or quantity, right? Of 1. That works. This is in just getting one default item here. Yeah, I'm doing very well as well. How is I forget boy or girl? I forget. How's family life? How's the baby? They're around the same age, right? Wasn't it similar times to us? You were like a week before, I think. Favorite YouTuber. I appreciate that. It's good to see you. What sort of content have you been working on recently? Okay, so argument of type. Don't build forms. Just use type form or tally. Yeah, forms are difficult. Okay, argument of type. My son Gaspard. Gaspar? That's a cool name. You're living in Dubai? I thought you were moving to Tennessee. You went a totally different direction. That's exciting though. How do you like that? So argument of type, previous data, items, quantity number. Array, items, attendees. I'm confused. Well, if I got rid of that, that's still hard to get. Oh, that sucks. Oh, is that really it? Wow. Jermu, thank you for that. It's funny that was so intimidating. The error was like the entire thing for that one property being off. You're right, typo. Yeah. Even after 10 years of experience, it's always a pain. Yeah, the multi-step forms are like way harder than I realized. I've done something similar before, but yeah, I'm glad you're liking liking Dubai though. That sounds awesome. A lot of people I feel like have moved to Dubai and seem to really enjoy it. So okay, so what am I missing? So we add an item, we have that logged, and then we update. So I just want to get a log there to say we're actually updating. So we are. Now we don't have an update on item quantity, event details form. So maybe, oh, event items form, handle on change. So this is, Peter's asking what VS Code theme. This is my theme. This is James Q Quick theme, which you can also install if you search for it. I don't have a, I don't have an icon for it, but anyway, you can actually go and install this yourself. So go try it out. James Q Quick theme. That's right. Yeah. Crutch, do you want to put a link? Man, I have not recorded a video that I still am planning on doing for you and am excited to do, and time is just really tough. But Crutch, while you're here, will you put a link in the chat to your most recent product? If you put it on Twitch, then I'll copy it over for everyone else to see. Then I'll put it up for people to look at too. As an individual developer, I'm way too familiar to become blind to obvious errors in my own code. Yeah. Yeah, Peter, feel free to fork that and make it your own as well. I think it Amy built it for me. I think it's a fork of Sarah Drasner's theme. So feel free to fork mine and make your own as well. Let me grab this link to, I think this is one of the coolest ideas that someone has had. I'm going to just repost this. I guess I'll just, so I can't post to, that's weird that I can't post to Twitter from here. But just for everybody to have a reference to this, this is one of the coolest things, I think, from a learning perspective. This is the framework field guide, which basically teaches you Angular, React, and Vue at the same time, and allows you to compare and contrast. And I think the biggest takeaway with this is the ability to understand patterns and use cases and things that frameworks provide for you in general, less about memorizing the specific syntax, but understanding what a framework does for you and understanding that that applies, like your knowledge in React also helps you learn Angular and Vue and Svelte, etc., because they're frameworks at the end of the day that are solving very similar problems. So I love this because you get to go through and actually see this stuff side by side and kind of talk through how different frameworks approach different things. And I think that's super cool. So check it out at fundamentals.framework.guide. Yeah, happy to share that because I've been a big fan of this idea for a long time. You put it perfectly. Thank you so much. Nailed it. Cool. Now, what do I want to do with this? So I have a handle on change for, I guess I have access. No, I don't. Gross. I guess I could do the same thing. So this would be like, is this the right way to do this? I don't know. Handle on, I actually should rename that to name instead of value. I was thinking about something else. And then we should also have a handle on quantity change. And this will be quantity. I guess we need these for all of them, right? Tired kebab. Hey everyone, how's it going? What's going on? Managing this like bigger piece of state is pretty hard. Can't use the same function for all. Can't you use, that's what I'm wondering about. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. One of the problems is that quantity is a number versus a string. I feel like to make that like more dynamic would actually be kind of gross. String or number, yes. But then like in here, you'd have to do something like this, like to use a dynamic expression, which I don't love. Yeah, it feels, at that point, you might as well use the library. I'm wondering how, like for the things that I'm doing, is it definitively easier if I use React hook form? or a different form library. But yeah, I'd actually can you help me? And I think that you're right. What would it? So this being a specific example where you have like the nested array of items, that just seems like if I didn't have that where you could add as many items as you want, it gets a lot simpler. So what sort of things would like React Hook form replace for me that I wouldn't have to do? TanStack.com/form latest docs framework React guides phrase. People to use an array, use form state, const form, use form, form.field, should array with objects. It's not that hard to update it. Ivan, what would you change versus the code that I have now? So TanStack form, and I've never used TanStack form. Use form, so you define your default values. In this case, you have an array, empty array of people. On click field push value, field push value. So this is like, where does this come from? I assume that's just like syntactically how this works. And then you have name, age. How do you attach that to input state.value on change, handle change? Okay, that's a function passed as a child. And then you handle on submit. Okay. When I pass the full object rather than each property. Mix and match it with this. All right. I think the answer is yes. Crutch, would you definitively say I should do this? Because the reason I haven't done it at this point, even though several people have mentioned several different options, is just like there's still an onboarding process to learn a new tool, which is a trade-off. So the one thing that I feel like is a little bit of a struggle is, and I would do exactly what you're saying, which is pass the entire object instead of one piece. The only problem is because I'm not tracking those two things in state, I don't have them to be able to pass to this update item. Boom, you have array subfields. So yeah, I'd say handling this is really tough. All right, this is where we take a chance because I trust you enough. Also, we're literally merging the persistence APIs in like a day from now. Like, what is 5 loc? 5 LOC to persist things. All right. Oh, lines of code. Fair enough. Okay, let's try this. Let's go with install React form in your environment. And let's go to the arrays example. And let's do a use form. I think I've basically just been waiting for a reason to be convinced of this. Use form from there, default value. Scroll to the bottom for the full example. Yeah. So this is going to be items. And let's define. Ignore the fact that this is in a terrible place. Item input. I ignore some of this. That, and then this will be item input. Okay. Then we'll say this is going to be an array. Can I tell this what type? And default values is going to have basically that, but this should be items. Okay. As item input array. Okay. The ID, I don't know how important this is. See what's going on, James and you other digital angels. So I want to use UID 4. I think we need to import UID. Yeah, that one. Okay, so we have our form. We want to save data to context in there, and we want to save data to context in here. Now, the other thing is, I guess I can do default values being event data.items or. So if I have something in the parent context, do that. Does that seem reasonable? I think that is. Huh. Is that true? Do we have any issues with that? Not entirely sure. So at the end of this, want to save. End of this, we want to save. And let's kind of get rid of these things. And just check out. I have to get around to trying out TanStack form. Does it play nice with Astro? Good question. Love to see the answer to that. Quick answer of yes. Form. Form.field name people. Form.subscribe. So this is a lot of, it's a lot of new things, to be honest. So there's onboarding that comes with this. And how do I want to do? How do I want to do this? Let's start with the form part. Let's add. Oh no. VS Code does some weird stuff with. Okay, so that should still be the same. So we have our onSubmit. We say prevent defaults, and actually I want this to just call void form. Now, what does this do? If you call form handle submit, is that actually submitting to the server? I think that's where we actually, so think about validation. I'm going to keep that line. Oh, what's the wrong place? You always say, hey, there was an error, but don't submit yet. Yes. So what exactly, what's the handle submit? Where's the documentation that tells me to use form? Yeah, so what exactly does this do? And I think I'm just going to move this into handle submit calls on submit on the use form, but only if no validation errors. Calls on submit on the use form. Is this how this was marked, by the way? Was with void in here? What is that syntax? Is that meant to be there? What is that syntax? I have no idea what that is. Okay, let's start with moving this into its own function. And so it just throws away the promise returned by... Throws away the promise. That's completely new to me. I've never seen that before. Like if you... What is it? Does it actually do something to throw it away, or does it move your router.push into on submit? Into on submit on the hook. It just stops at TS. Okay. Gotcha. Crutch, any chance you're available to join me live? Cool. I'll send you a DM and then you can join me and show me all the things. He threw up the bat signal. I throw up lots of bat signals if you didn't know. Yeah, because I'm a little confused. Form handles a meeting of the minds. Yeah. See, this is not a bad thing. Like, this is not me talking bad about what we're doing, but this is always my like tiny fear is like, oh, there's things in here that I have to understand, and I just don't yet. But after you understand them, then I'm sure it becomes a lot easier. I have to check with Jess too to see how much time I have. Let me text her and see. Again, time is a struggle with kids, or a kid. We just have one. Still very hard. Data to contacts. I think that still has to happen. And I form default values. And I have to go through and style those things too, or like add in the actual field.state.map. And then kids start a sport and goodbye everything. Yeah, that's honestly a big worry of mine as they get busier and busier. Oh, I think what Corbin was saying is in this on submit, which I guess I don't have. So if we were to have, oh, I sent you the link. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
What's up?
Oh, I sent you the link. Oh, there you go. Oh no. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Sorry, your stream pulled up on my laptop, my other laptop.
Oh, you're good. I think you were saying do that, and then this triggers the actual on submit that you handle here.
Yep, exactly.
You get the value there.
Yep.
And do something with value. Yeah, I was confused. I didn't realize. Actually, the wrong one. This one should go there. This one should go there. Because I was thinking you were talking about the on submit here, but what this says is basically we're going to let the form that we've defined in the library, it's going to take care of validating for us. And then if it's validated, then it's going to call our function where we do what we want to.
Yeah, exactly.
What sort of validation does it do? Like, am I
It
missing
does
a
no validation by default. Yeah,
Okay.
no validation by default. But like,
Yeah.
so
Ooh.
if you look at the fields,
I just like pushed my desk over. Sorry.
no, you're good. If you look at the fields API, like form.field, you can actually add like on change validation, on submit validation, or you can add validation to the form itself.
Okay. Okay. So this would look good. And then I have control at this point to do whatever I want inside of the final on submit, which would do something with the value and then go to the next step. The handle go back would get the value and save to context. So this is the context that I have shared at the layout level so that as I go back and forth between pages, it's still there.
Yeah. In the future, and I mean like literally like 2 days from now, you'll be able to just say like persist the value of the field. Let me see if I can grab it for you really quick.
Okay. And is that using local storage, session storage?
It's using whatever you want to use.
Okay.
Here, hang on.
It's a battle of the beards. I wouldn't like, I don't know. I feel like when they compare beards, they're talking about like much bigger beards than mine. Like, I don't have.
Yeah, and mine is just getting started too. Here, I'll just put it in the private chat. You can.
Yeah, I don't feel like I have a like noticeable beard. So this would actually be cool, and I don't mind actually waiting 2 days to see this. And for anybody that wants to reference this, there's a link in the chat. So persister API, then you tell it where. Form API, and then you have to trigger that, or does it just automatically handle all updates saved to local storage?
Automatic.
Shit, so that's like exactly what I want.
Yeah. No, Audit did an amazing job with the API here.
Okay. I will come back to you in a few days when this is ready, or if you remember, let me know, and I'll stream and do that. And if you want to come on and help me with it, please do.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so then, and this is just weird syntactically, it's something to get used to, but you have a form.field component. So this is coming from what you're giving me, the form that I defined from the framework. And then inside of here is, what is this called? This used to have a name. We don't do this as much.
It's a function.
Yeah,
it's just a child function.
Like a render prop or something.
Yeah, I think that's probably what people usually call it. But usually that's because it's a prop named render.
Okay. Yeah. So this actually goes down all the way to here. Mm-hmm. So inside of here, for a given field state value map.
So we're saying for each of the people, right? Because the form API, the form.field has the name of people. So we're saying for each person in people, go ahead and create a new form field so that we can map the dot name and the dot description and the dot quantity or whatever.
Okay. So should I just go ahead and copy this part and then tweak?
Yeah, that works.
I feel like I'm going to be like, I don't know. I feel like I'm slow on the uptake here. All right. So inside of here, if we dump this in, we have, this is going to be 4 items. And so there's TypeScript associated with the fact that I named this items up here.
Yep. And it'll actually, so if you try to type in like items with a Z.
Here.
Yep. You'll notice it actually provides a type error.
Yep. Cool. Keyboard said, I see Crush Corn judging you. I see it in your beard. I'm down. I'm good for it.
That's great.
Okay. So in this case, now just out of curiosity, why are we referencing like items? Where is that defined? So where are we getting this items? Or no, this is different syntax. So this is just a string.
This is just the name of the field. Yeah, this is just a string. So you see how there's the index above?
Yep. Okay. Got it. And then we're looking at the key. So in my thing, I called it value, which I think I should probably just rename now.
Well, you can have it as value.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a terrible name though. Because value is also a prop like on the input and
yeah.
All right. Do you have any suggestions on if I were to change this type to not be value?
So what is it?
It's an item that so if you're doing like a potluck app, we're gonna have an event and I want to have this many items that people need to bring. So bread, plates. So just like the name of the item, basically.
Yeah, I'd just call it name.
Do you avoid that ever just because of name being a built-in thing in a lot of places?
Nah.
I don't know if that did a full refactor the way I want. Hopefully it did. And then this will be
it automatically updated. That's
cool. So I did do the refactor the way I wanted. Cool. So then the name of this field, because it needs a unique name for each one as we iterate through. And this is just a string items, then the index dot name.
Yep.
And this is based on, yeah, okay. So then I can scroll down and potentially grab this.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the whole thing.
Crush Corn is my new hero now. I like that if you avoid every reserve word and every language, we'd be stuck with writing code in big Latin.
Maybe one day.
Soon.
Right. So I'm copying this here.
Yep, inside of there.
And then if I wipe this out, will you help me get back to what the pieces are that I need? Our form fields. So a form field, do I need to have different form fields for name and quantity, or this is just saying like the
Oh, no, you will need one for name and quantity, yes.
Okay. So then this would just be, this is the name. Okay. I'm putting all this together. So if I paste this in, this is going to be too much. So let me grab quantity.
Mm-hmm.
And just get rid of that for a second. I'll come back to on change.
Yep.
And
don't need that anymore.
So we don't have to set a key.
Because the key is on line 45.
Yep. What's the subfield?
So subfield here is how you bind the value and any other of the change detection stuff. So like on the input, you'll do value.
Oh, equals subfield?
Yep, equals subfield.state.value.
Subfield.state.value.
Mm-hmm. And then you'll do on change equals a function that accepts E. And then subfield.handle change. And then E.target.value.
Yep. Okay, so these are the two things that I need to be able to have two-way binding, basically, between what it tracks and then what I display on the screen.
Yep. And then you can actually change your required here. You can leave required if you want. But if you wanted, you could even do required via like a function or Zod or whatever.
And then then I have to have like custom. I would want to have custom validation messages on here.
Right.
On my own. Okay. So, but if I just leave it for now, it'll at least take the built-in HTML.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool.
The big reason for wanting to add in like JavaScript validation is if you're doing really crazy stuff like dish name cannot be blah blah blah, or if you're matching against a regex or you're matching against there's a built-in regex validator, but it's not amazing. But if you wanted really fine-grained control over what you're doing.
Okay. Cool. That makes sense. I'm still not confident in what all these are.
So let's think about the code that you had before. Right?
Yeah.
The code you had before had to map over each of the items.
Yep.
Right, which is what we're doing here. But in order to access that value, we have to find what the name of dot items is, right? So that's line 39.
Yep.
So
field turn, iterate. And so the inside of my return for each individual field, I'm going to actually have 2 fields. So I need to wrap form field in some sort of container.
Yep.
Where am I? Yes.
One more.
Yeah. There we go. And then I would more or less replicate this one.
Yeah.
All right, let's just do that and then update from there. So this would be
items.quantity.
Yep. Which this is a gross thing to have to handle. So I think it was in early code that I wrote for this, where I was generating the unique names for each one of these. But when I was doing server actions that submit to the server, I had to just dynamically pull out all of the names that match the format of item dash number and then parse out all the information that way, which is pretty gross.
Right. So there's one there. You might be running into a type error in one place, which is where you're on changes.
Let me get some of these.
Yeah.
Details. This will be type text. T. On chain. Okay.
I think you're missing a T on the name there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dang. Just Triz was on top of that. The delay on Twitch must be super low because it was like right after I finished typing that.
Right. And then line 92. So e.target.value is a string, but we need a number, right? So what you can do is you can actually type in value.number or value as number.
Yeah.
Nope. No.
Oh.
Like value capital A, capital N.
Wait.
That's it. That's a built-in JavaScript feature in the DOM. Yep.
Nah.
Uh-huh.
What the fuck? That I had no idea. That's wild.
Oh, and you also have a typo on line 81. Triz is pointing this out.
Yeah. Some is a really tough one for me to type.
I get it.
And
that's a number, so that's fine.
Yeah. What's down here?
And then if you want to add another item.
So just add in another default.
Yep. Yep, just like that. And you probably want to rename it from add person to
Yeah. Type. And this is type button, not submit, so it doesn't submit the form, which is good. And need to take some of these classes. Apply there. And I probably messed up on some sort of flexbox stuff on here with spacing.
Oh, sure.
Because my divs.
Right.
Okay, so things that it's doing for me. It gave me a hook to add a new item, basically. It allows me to define my form. I get some TypeScript stuff from that, which is cool. I can define default values. I can load that from the context. So if I come to this page and I already had something in local storage, although that maybe you have a hook for that in a couple of days to just grab it.
Right.
That part, is that part of it too, where you can grab from local storage?
It'll if you set up a persister, it'll automatically do both. Yeah.
Okay. And then do you have a hook to be able to wipe that out after the thing has been fully submitted to the server?
I don't know if we do, but if not, then I'll make sure it's part of our API that we merge. It should be really simple.
Yeah. Well, and I could go back and do a local storage override anyway. Like that's not a big deal. So I define default values. It will do validation for me before it gets to here. By the time it gets to here, I know I can do whatever I want to, which is save the thing in my context for now, and then go to the next page. And then I would want to get the value for handle go back as well. Where do I get? So you have the on submit, which gives me the value. If I just wanted to access the value in something else, how would I get that?
Form.state.value.
Form state value. Cool.
Oh, sorry. Is it values? You may want to console log that. Let's see if we can debug that in person, just to be safe. Oh, can you hover over item or values? What type does it say it is? Yep. Okay, that's correct then.
Oh, technically, I want this. I want to destructure then, because it's an object that has the property of values, which makes sense. So this is if I had other things in there, I could go get those things too, because the value may be more than just the items that I have. It could be items and a separate top level name or whatever it is.
Right.
Okay. Let's see what this looks like.
I really hope this just runs first try.
I know. Let me start with. Oh, also, random question. So if you have if I have multiple routes for this form, so I have like step 1, step 2, step 3, and these are under the slash new event. If I just go to new event, what would you expect that to do? Does that make sense?
Sorry, one more time.
So like the full route for steps is dashboard, new event, step 1, step 2, step 3, etc. If I just went here, what would you expect that to do?
Redirected to step 1.
Yeah, that's what I have. Cool.
Nice.
At least I think I do. Yeah, cool. So yeah, Braggy, fair point. People have suggested the dark reader something extension, and I tried that for a while, and it just got to be more of a hassle.
It breaks a lot of stuff.
It does, and I just found myself turning it off for like every website I went to.
Yeah.
And then the design that I have for this application is light mode, so I apologize.
I don't know. I think light mode's great, personally.
Yeah. Well, in that specific example, I don't have an option for both. So so we continue these. Okay, so these are meant to be in a flex box where they're side by side. So maybe that means here. No. Well, each one, I'll have to think through where that actually goes.
Yeah.
That's not the most important thing, so we can come back to that. So
I mean, luckily here's the good news. Form.field does not render anything. Like no divs, no spans, no whatever.
Just what I put there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if I were to press continue now, this should HTML validation takes over, which is great. I have simple validation, so that's probably enough for now.
Mm-hmm.
So I give it a name. There's something in here.
What is it saying?
A big long one, apparently. Jesus.
No kidding.
Oh my gosh. How am I supposed to do that? 2 children with the same key. 0.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So let's go back for a second. What you can do is you can do you'll need key I and then dot name.
So same.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. No, I'm wrong on this. So line 47, let's make it a fragment, like an actual full body fragment, like the name.
Oh, I've not. So is that just? It's from React, right? So it'll import. Yeah.
Yep. And then key equals I. And then now we can get rid of that key and the other key that's on the other one. That's why we're telling it you.
You said the key that's on the other one. Is there another?
Yeah, there's another form field below it.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Oh, because it was using the key for each of the 2 inputs. If we just had one input, it wouldn't have mattered. But then we had to wrap it in a parent something. Okay. Can you, if you like, instead of using fragment, if you use empty div fragment, you can't apply a key to that, right?
No.
So you have to use fragment for that.
Yep.
Makes sense. Okay, hopefully that
you may want to clear it because I think I think we fix it.
Clear, like go back to.
Oh, I just meant like clear the.
Oh, clear the console. Yeah. Gotcha. I didn't know if I needed to like start over the form process. So HTML validation takes over here. This has 1 by default, so that has a default. If I type in something, add an item.
What is that now? What?
It looked like the same thing, maybe. Oh, a component is changing a controlled input to be uncontrolled. Value changing from a defined to undefined.
It's safe to ignore, but we'll fix it.
Is that just on? Is that just on the framework?
Yeah, that's a bug on me. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Okay, so I have the thing though. It shows validation takes over again. Casserole. Now I just want to. I think this was just log. And did I tell it to do my next thing too? Did I have that code in there? Okay, I did have that. So it logged items, which is great. Go back, and this is where. So my responsibility would be in the context. Yeah. In the context, instead of update item or add item, I can get rid of these and maybe just say update items.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Love Copilot. So then we will call update items with that, and then we'll need to import this from update items. Oh, I didn't expose that. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
So, and what did? I don't remember what the definition was. Please give it. There we go. And add it to any
Copilot
add item. I know. And then we need to finally add that in here. I think that's it, right? Yes. Okay. So then call update items. And then here we want to get items from the value as well and call update items. Having it take care of that part where I'm not having to merge data is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Step 1. Fill out some information. Did I not do that? Casserole, add an item, something, 12 of these, continue, back, back, continue. Love it. Love to see it. And now replicating this for users, this is actually going to be a tricky UI for me because what I need to do is this is going to be basically a search box where I'm going to search through attendees. So like with autocomplete or whatever.
Yeah.
And then as I press enter, it's going to add them below, but it'll be a similar process. I wonder how do I track? Yeah, I'll have to think through that because that seems more complicated because the things that I tell you about, you being the framework, is just
Well, let's think about this, right? So you have a list of attendees, right? So I'll be the attendees field.
Yep.
And then you can push onto the attendees field inside of there. So you'd put the text box and the for loop both inside of there. And then you have 2 for loops of attendees.for display in the list, the input here. And then you'd have a separate attendees.for to list the sub menu item, subfield.
Didn't get it.
So like if I had to, let me close that really quick. Is it okay if I share my screen really quick?
Yeah. Chris, by the way, I'm using TanStack. What's the actual name?
TanStack form.
TanStack form. And have some help in kind of working through this. So the tricky part that we were looking at, Chris, is the multiple items piece. And so we have that working where we're tracking that across page switches. So we have items listed here. We have data here. We continue, back, etc. So that's pretty cool.
So like you might have a form that looks like this, right?
Chris asking, still using context provider? Yes. So the context provider is the thing that's storing the thing in memory across pages. We access that from the use form that he's showing a demo of now. And then the last thing is we want to persist this local storage in case they refresh the page, which I think keyboard is what you're asking about. So we will have a solution to have across page refreshes by storing a local storage, which apparently will be built into the library in the next couple of days. So we'll be able to take advantage of that.
So the idea, I'm getting a bunch of syntax warnings because it doesn't like me. Actually, it's because I don't have any of this configured properly. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So we might have like field.state.values or .value.map, right? And then you do like render a span of attendee.name, right? And this would be like inside of a return. Sorry, I'm typing in a very small keyboard. This is a 10-inch laptop.
Oh, wow.
So you might have like autocomplete input with the values or like preset items equaling that. And then like on add, you do field.push value name and IDU IDV4. Let me format this because it's a mess. Sorry, trying to get this done as quick as I can to explain the idea.
Yeah, you're good.
So you'd have your input right here, right? Which is similar to the little text area at the top that you were having. And then you'd have another for loop, which is field.state.value. And then you'd return the field or form.name, form.field name equals, what is it called? Attendees. Dot name. And then this is where you'd put the other, the other box of values here, right?
Those would be the attendees that I've selected for this event.
Yeah. And then you could update their name and whatever else here.
Okay. So the auto, does it make any difference? I won't have like a static set of data for the autocomplete. Like that'll come from, it'll have to come from a real time like query.
Oh, are you talking about like pre-filling form.field here?
No, like as the user types, it will make API requests to the backend.
Yeah.
To search.
Right. But then eventually you'll when you select that user, you have like some type of on add, right?
Yeah, where does on add come from? Is that a hook in autocomplete?
No, yeah, autocomplete input is just a made up component that you'd have.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
So like this would be your fetch, like, and I'm gonna propose you use TanStack query, go figure.
Yeah.
But you would have something like this.
I assume the answer is yes. Like debouncing is the thing that you have.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'd have like a query key, and then you'd have a query function. Actually, the way you would debounce with us is you'd write your own use debounce hook. I don't know if that's something we have. So you'd have like debounced val equals use debounce, and I can send you a debounce hook. They're pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So it'd be like use val set val. Let's use state, right? And then you do search debounced val. And then you'd have like const data is loading And then this would be your async function where you go make a network request to the server and it returns the results and whatever else, right? And then I don't know how, like, this is kind of a draw the owl type scenario, but you would have like an input here that would like as you typed, here, so like you'd have an input.
If I'd have known you were just going to write all the code for me, I would have called you a long time ago.
On change would be e set val e dot target value, right? So this will debounce a value, and then you'd have a popover that shows. And again, popover is not a component that I'm going to write right now. But the popover would be something like, you know, is loading, show is loading, if not, whatever else, right? And then once you have the item selected on the popover, you'd have on select would call the on add function.
To tell the parent that something happened,
and we basically do this for the search page on our blog. So like we have test, and if I just sit there for a second, it'll actually search. But then otherwise we have like enter will preemptively search. That's using a use debounce hook as well.
Just the small one that you wrote?
Yeah.
Or one, okay.
Is it under utils? It might be under hooks. Sorry, it's actually a pretty big code base, surprisingly.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Where is it? Is it views, search? Yeah, here we go. Use debounce value. I mean, it's literally, 20 lines of code.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Are you in Discord? Or I don't think we're connected on Discord, or like I don't think we messaged on Discord before, have we?
Yeah, I don't think we have. I'll send you this on Discord though.
Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. Chris, who is listening to the chat or typing the chat on Twitch, he's doing a lot of work on the Deals for Devs project. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
And he's specifically working on multi-step form now. And so I was working on multi-step form for this demo. And then we're probably just going to kind of merge and both of these do the same thing. And that's already helped a lot. So I'm assuming he'll probably just use the same thing in that one as well. And then maybe
go ahead.
You're good.
I was going to say the one last thing API that we do want to add that I don't know what it looks like today. So I'd love to hear both of your thoughts. If you want to send this to chat, maybe show it on screen. But one of the APIs that we don't have right now is a group API. So that the idea is that in like a multi-part form, you have a group of forms that has its own set of validation and stuff.
Okay.
So
trying to solve this type of problem.
Yeah, exactly. But in the framework itself, if you want to zoom in a little bit, it might be too small.
Yeah.
Chat.
Cool. So where this is a feature request?
Yeah. And then the API is like right there. It's like a pretty loose API. I need to go update it, but it's the idea is that you'd have a group, and the group has its own on submit that you then listen for.
Okay. How far along is this now?
Right now we don't have the code, but the API shouldn't be too challenging to build. The bigger part is that like we don't know what features people want or don't want.
Yeah.
So any feedback on this API would be huge.
Yeah. That's cool. It's funny. This is like, it's things that I'm still figuring out how I think I want to build a multi-step form. So I don't have opinions yet, but it's funny how complex it gets quickly, but also how many different options you have. Like how many things you do client side versus server side and any other combination of all that stuff.
And we want to support it all. Like if you look at the TanStack actually supports Next.js server actions. It's like what you can do is you can write a Zod schema and then pass it to the front end and then pass it to the back end validation. And our hook like just works through all of it.
Yeah.
So it does front end and back end validation. And then even if you have JavaScript turned off, it'll merge the two. So it'll show the server side errors on the client side.
How does that work?
Magic is how it works.
Well, I guess it's just a full. At that point, it's just a full server submit. Then,
yeah,
then you get back the validation errors. Interesting. Forms are like always deceivingly complicated.
Yeah,
always infinitely more complicated than you think.
Yeah. So here, if you look at this, I thought I had an example that I wrote, which means that I need to link it in our docs a little bit better. But the idea is that we also need to update this so that it's not form state, it's use action state. But the idea is they use action state is what allows us to merge the state of the client side and server side together.
Okay. That's one I haven't.
It's React 19 stuff. It's not stable yet, technically.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Cool. So I have not done anything with TanStack in like 3 years. And at that point, it was just query and very little understanding and very going into what was actually there. This is, I think, a great opportunity to dive deeper into this.
Yeah.
So, Chris, we got a lot of work to do.
So it's not quite V1 yet, but we're getting close.
Yeah.
Getting very, very close.
I love it. So, cool.
Yeah.
I am going to get ready to go check on baby.
Yeah, I got to get going too.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. And if you're available, I'm sure we'll have more questions. I would love to have your help.
Yeah, dude.
And to get deeper into TanStack stuff. So, of
course.
Yeah. Sweet. Feel free to run if you want to. I'm gonna get a raid ready and send people on their way. But thanks again, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Yeah. All right, let's get raid ready for. Let's send over to the Coppinger. And everybody else that's here, that was super fun. I hope you all got a lot out of that because I did. And Braggy, sorry, yeah, timing's a little off. Hopefully next time. Yeah, that was super fun and super helpful because every day I kept, or every minute I worked on multi-step form, it like got more and more complicated, especially with kind of nested tricky data. So anyway, all right, let me get this started for the raid. Great to see you all. Thanks for supporting, hanging out. More to come on this and with Deals for Devs. So if you don't already follow Chris on Twitch, you should do so and follow his stuff. And if you're interested in participating in our Deals for Devs project, you can join the Discord, learnbuildteach.com, and then send me a message and I can give you access to our channel. But anyway, thanks y'all. Have a good one.